lots to discuss with CTV's political commentator, Scott Reid. Scott, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Another day of firsts for Prime Minister Carney, his first question period. What sort of tone do you expect he will set?
Well, you would expect he would keep the same tone that we see from him usually, which is that, he sort of gives very direct, unadorned, non-flowery replies that are very focused and factual. It'll be interesting because the rhythm of question period is so different than, say, for example, when he's engaging with journalists. Because with journalists, he tends to take his time. He'll sort of give substantive answers. He'll walk people through the logic of what he's thinking. He loves to number things. Well, I have three things to say in response to that, Marcia. Let me begin with the third one, then I'll come to the second and the first. The rhythm of question period doesn't permit that. So it'll be interesting to see how he adapts his style for the circumstance. And we also know he can get sharp with people when he thinks a question is stupid. And I guarantee you, he will get plenty of stupid questions in question period.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to suffer fools. Okay, we have to talk about this most recent development from Trump, once again, almost sounding like he's willing to make a deal with Canada that if they want to become the 51st state, if we want to become the 51st state, that we don't have to pay for the protection from the Golden Dome. However, if we don't, then it's going to cost $61 billion. What do you make of this right on the heels of the King's speech yesterday emphasizing our sovereignty?
Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think it was an accident that this came out last night. I can remember this distant period, when was it? I think it was Sunday, when the U.S. ambassador told Vashti that nobody in the United States, including the president, was talking about 51st state, and yet here we are with a big dollop of it again, only a couple days later. I think that the president pays close attention to King Charles and to what's happening. Claimed he was watching the leaders' debates during an election campaign. So I think we're seeing the projection of a bruised ego. There's lots of underlining Canada as an independent sovereign nation, our traditions as something very distinct from the United States were on full display yesterday with the King's presence, with Parliament, with a speech from the throne, and of course with the language about the true north, strong and free. So I think this is just a reflex outburst of ego and silliness. Bullies are insecure, and I read that as insecurity, saying, you could be a 51st state, you ought to be a 51st state, best deal you could ever get. And this Golden Dome fantasy, and it is a fantasy, let's be clear, is just the example that he's drawing upon.
Finally, I have to ask you on a lighter note about Justin Trudeau's footwear. It's been making some headlines. Yeah, I think we have a photo that we can show everyone. A lot of people were critical of his choice. They thought it was far too casual to wear when meeting the King. He's wearing some green sneakers. What do you make of it, Scott?
Yeah, you know what? I think there's less to this than meets the eye. He's no longer the prime minister. He was kind of given the bum's rush. People made it clear they didn't want him. What have we talked about for the past 4 months? How politicians and political leaders and everyone else can be the un-Trudeau. I think if the guy wants to wear green sneakers to the throne speech, fill your boots, so to speak. I don't think he cares, and I don't think we should care either.
Fill your sneakers. All right, Scott Reid for us this morning. Good to see you as always. You have a good day.